writing is kind of like my hobby at this time, and like it's not something that I can make a living off of, even though I get small residuals at this point. But I became a copywriter because it just so happens if you're an English literature major, your options are limited unless you want to be a teacher, and like I definitely don't want to do that. So I got into copywriting. I work actually for a Fortune 500 company. It's a major retailer. I don't want to like drop their name just in case, like anything I say jeopardizes. But I have a lot of freelance clients, so I do the writing on the side. And when I first got back into writing, it was right after this breakup because I didn't have any sort of outlet. I didn't know what to do.
So this is like 25, you said, around there?
I was 25. It was like 2013. Okay. And I didn't know what to do with myself. Like I was just like so beaten down, and I finally got a job as a copywriter. It was like low level. I was like starting to build myself up, but I would go home, and instead of going to a bar or, looking for an external source to kind of, pacify my, anxiety and my disquietude, I started writing. And at first it was like the most emo, prosaic bullshit. It was first person narratives. It read like a fucking Dear Diary. It was like, I'm so fucking sad. And,
Yeah.
But when I look back at it.
But it was writing.
It was writing. Yeah. It really was. And it really helped understand. Like I started writing to help understand myself. And, that sounds like one of those cliches, something that you read on Instagram. But when you start writing,
that's going to be the caption for this interview. Chris writes to understand himself.
Oh God, yeah, just fucking kill me. So I started writing, and you'd write these thoughts down, and when you go back and you look at it, you start realizing like what was important to yourself. Like what sort of things did you pay attention to? And you can start. It's so therapeutic and it's easy to say, but when you write something down and you go back and you read it and you feel it, you own it, and you can kind of move on for it. And so this like Dear Diary breakup book was my first book. It was called Fix It Broken. And before I knew it, I had a 110,000 word novel. And I was, this is 2016. I just kept writing on with it. And, I was done with it, and then I started pitching it around, and I got it accepted. So I got 2 acceptances. My first query letter ever. And I don't know if you know about query letters, right? Mm-mm. So the publishing industry is fucking exhausting, right? So to sell a book, you need to acquire literary agents. You need to require representation because big publishers don't want to bother with unsolicited manuscripts. They want to get it pitched by people that are reputable. So the way a query letter works is you have to search literary agents. You have to study up on them, see what their likes are, see what their strong cases are, and then you have to write the most aggrandizing, pompous like letter. It's almost like a research paper, and it's like, hi, I discovered you through this, and I know you like this, I know you published this, and I see that you have an interest in that, and it's like, it's stuff that just sucks the life out of your soul.
Yeah.
And I wrote
like you don't want to be doing it. You'd rather be spending your time writing something else.
It's the worst experience ever. And it almost feels like you're on a blind date. You're like, I need to write so you like me. Like, do you like me? Like it is the most vacuous bullshit ever. So I wrote a query letter. It got accepted. They read the first 3 chapters and they're like, no, we're going to pass. And then I wrote maybe 100 more query letters, and they all got rejected, and then I got accepted. I sent 3 chapters, and they liked it. Then they said, all right, send the rest, right? So at this point, this is 2017. I haven't been published at all yet. And I'm like, holy shit.
So you've been writing for 4 years at this point?
Just that book. Okay. Just that book. And so I finally get accepted, and they're like, hey, listen, we're going to offer you a deal. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to be a writer, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, there's one stipulation. They're like, well, actually, there's several stipulations. Once you give us this book, you're signing off the rights to it. So if it ever becomes a movie, you get nothing. And they're like, also, we want to change the ending, right? And I'm like, you want to change the ending? I'm like, all right, well, what is it? And they're like, well, we like that it ends, ambiguously, but we kind of want like a really happy ending. And like I remember being on the phone and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking puke.
We'll get into some of the ways that you end your stories without giving away the endings, but happy endings is the complete opposite of the short stories that you've put out that we'll get into. So I imagine you saw that and you threw up.
So it was weird because I was like in this state of ambivalence. I'm like, I got accepted, but I didn't really get accepted. They want me to fucking become Nicholas Sparks. And the title of my book is Fix It Broken. And the whole pitch is not everything that's broken always needs to get fixed, right? And that's like the overarching theme. This guy thinks he needs to fix himself. He needs to improve himself. And, it kind of channeled this whole sentiment that, a lot of people are going to disagree with, but, people are so consumed with trying to find themselves, and what they really need to do is start understanding themselves. All right. Because you can search for everything. You can, look, you can read whatever, but until you start understanding yourself, you're never going to be complacent.
And finding yourself is a one-time thing. You find yourself and you think, this is me. Understanding yourself is a lifelong journey. There's a more of a constant implication of you wake up and you understand yourself more deeply, or you don't. Every day.
But say you find yourself, right? So what's the point of doing anything after that? You
can
then what's the
die,
goal?
Just waste away on Instagram.
Exactly. So getting back to this book, so they wanted me to fix this ending where he reconnects with his college girlfriend and they fall in love at his book signing. And I'm like, holy shit, like I would rather fucking light myself on fire than write that ending. And what
did you tell them?
And I'm like, I'll think about it. They're like, listen, we don't want to step on your creative toes, okay? And like they speak in these metaphors. Yeah. And they're like, you have the ability to write whatever ending you want, but we want to get it to there, right? And everybody I talked to was like, do it. And I'm like, I can't do it. I just can't do that. Like I will sell this book. It will be in stores, and I'm going to forever preface it
to anybody. Eat you alive.
Well, I'm going to forever preface it to people. I'm going to be like, well, listen, this is the book, but just so you know, the real ending is supposed to be this, And I'm like, I can't fucking live like that, And I think like that kind of is a microcosm for the absurd. Like you're confronted with this absurdity, and it's like you can either just acquiesce to it and say whatever, or you can fucking rebel against it, and stick to like what gives you life, And I turned it down, and I'm like, I can't do it. And I knew right then and there that book is going to forever live in my fucking desk drawer on my laptop,
Yeah. And that's fucked up. I don't know the ins and outs of the publishing industry. I would think that you would at least get the rights to your own book if it becomes a movie or a TV series or something like that, because then you don't have to work ever again. Make millions of dollars.
So here's the thing: they take advantage of these, and listen. I don't want to burn any bridges. I love literary agents. I love the whole publishing experience. I think it's great.
Yeah, we love you guys and gals.
Yes, and you guys make the world go round. But like. From that aspect, it's like, I don't know, like how do you live with yourself at that point, if you're sacrificing that much? And I think that they take advantage of these unpublished writers. It's like, you want to be published, you're going to do what I say, And I understand they have to, try to market your book, and they want to try to find a niche for it and a target audience. And I understand the logistics of all that, but I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, this book is inspiring by itself. It's telling you that if you're broken, you don't have to fix yourself. I'm like, how is that not inspiring? Like, is that inspiring, or is like his fucking, an unrealistic ending, him reconnecting with a girlfriend? Like, get the fuck out of here.